This is the best $320 gaming PC that I have personally ever built. Now when I say the best, I'm not saying it has the newest parts. Actually, the quite opposite. All of the components were bought on the second-hand market. If you are on a budget, then doing what I did throughout this video is a great way to build a gaming PC without breaking the bank. I'll be going over all the parts and of course testing out some games. It easily crushes 1080p esports on low settings, getting over 200 FPS, but if you prefer AAA games with better visuals, it can handle those with high settings and hold a stable frame rate at or above 60. Now keep in mind, you might not be able to pay exactly what I did, but you can use this video as a guide and all the parts are linked down below if you want to build something similar. This build all started when I bought a fully functioning PC for $100 on Facebook Marketplace. I already made a separate video on this. For the basic specs, it had a Ryzen 5 2600X, a single stick of RAM, 500 watt power supply, and a GT 1030. Nothing crazy, but it's a great base to build upon. In the original video, I tested it out and did some slight upgrades. The performance increase was awesome, but I want more, so we're upgrading it again. Let's start with the CPU. Since we're on the AM4 platform, we have the ability to upgrade to Ryzen 5000 series without swapping the motherboard out. However, the board we have is only B450, so no Gen 4 support, but it'll still work. I'm swapping out the Ryzen 5 2600X and valuing it at $30 with the stock cooler, which will get used for a lower end build. And the CPU I'm slotting in is the Ryzen 5 5600G. Now I know I could have gone with the Ryzen 5 5500, 5600, or 5600X, but I got this for a pretty good deal. I bought this one on eBay and it only cost me $58.63. It may not be the best option from the Ryzen 5000 series, but compared to the 2600X we're upgrading from, besides the improved clock speeds, it's also built on a newer architecture, so it's more efficient and just faster in general. For the cooler, I could have easily reused the stock cooler that was in the PC because it was one of the better ones with a copper core, but I wanted to improve the looks a little bit since I will be selling this PC for a profit. The cooler I went with is the ID Cooling SE214XT ARGB. This is a great budget option that can be had for around $20, depending if it's on a sale or not. For mine, I paid $15.85. I'm keeping the RAM the same from the first upgrades I did. It's a 2x8GB kit clocked at 3000 megahertz. The cost of DDR4 has increased significantly, so if you're following this, try not to pay more than $25 for 16GB and $40 for 32. Your best bet will be trying to find a deal on the secondhand market. I paid $15.87 for this kit and valued the old single stick at $5 to save some money on this build. For the storage, I did install a 1TB M.2 SSD from Western Digital, and I bought this on eBay for $35.43. And if you prefer new, you can expect to spend at least $50 for a 1TB capacity. Another upgrade I did was the power supply. It originally had a 500 watt unit from Corsair, but it was semi-modular and missing the PCIe cables, so I had to upgrade it, and I valued that one at $5. The power supply in the build now is this Apevia Prestige 600 watt 80 plus gold unit, and it cost me $28.98 on eBay. Now for the second round of upgrades, I am vinyl wrapping it white since the case has a PSU cutout, and this cost me about 5 cents out of the vinyl roll. And to hide the barbecue style cables, I am installing white cable extensions for an extra $9.37. These are not needed, but hey, they look nice. Now for the big upgrade. In the original $100 PC, we went from the GT 1030, upgraded to the GTX 1660, but I wanted more performance, so I did some deal hunting on Facebook Marketplace to complete this computer. I just drove about 30 minutes. I'm picking up a deal off of Facebook Marketplace. I didn't even have to lowball them, or else I probably would have lost the deal. But I'm paying $100. Let's go and buy this, and you let me know if it's a good deal. Hey, how you doing, man?
All right, you're Elijah?
Yeah, what's your name?
Scott.
How you doing, Scott, today?
All right, I changed mine for a 4070. You know.
When did you upgrade?
You can keep the box. About, I don't know, 3 weeks ago.
And it's just been sitting in the bag since?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put this was on the other one I just got.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's only been used for like a year and maybe less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do sim racing, so I upgraded to the 4070.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that's way better than this. What resolution do you play at?
I don't know.
So you had this listed at 100, right?
Yeah, $100.
There you go.
Yeah, it's 300 at Walmart.
Scott, I really appreciate the deal.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you have a great day, man. RTX 3060 12 gig. This was a great find, and online it still sells for about $200, and I'll be valuing the old GT 1030 at $5. Now the RTX 3060 was a bit dusty, so I took my electric air duster to it before even installing it in the computer. Besides it being dustier than dust itself, it was performing great. After about 20 minutes in firm arc, the temp was around 69C.
Nice.
I also tested it in OCCT for the VRAM and it had no issues whatsoever, so it was ready to be used. Bye bye GTX 1660 and hello to the RTX 3060. We're now doubling the amount of VRAM from 6 to 12. Nice improvement. Here's the completed build. I think it turned out great. The full specs and price breakdown is on the screen. It cost me $319.13. For that price and the specs we have, I would be a fool to complain. How does it perform? I started the testing with good old Cyberpunk 2077 and I was actually at 1440p with the high settings preset. Out in the boonies we averaged 72 FPS, the 1% low was 56, and those numbers are perfect for story mode games. I also made my way into Night City because I know it can be more demanding, but this computer was actually holding up pretty well. The performance was basically the same, and if you wanted more FPS, you could drop to 1080p or even just lower the settings at 1440p, but I'd rather have the better visuals. In Red Dead Redemption 2, I just ran the in-game benchmarking tool and it was also at 1440p with high settings. I love Rockstar games. They are always super polished and just look great. We averaged 84 FPS with a 1% low of 68. Now for some games where you might want more FPS. I tested Call of Duty Black Ops 6. This was at 1080p with DLSS set to balanced, high settings for texture resolution and detail quality, then every other setting was on low or off. Now unlike Rockstar, how their games are super polished and not released every year, Activision can't seem to stop milking the Call of Duty franchise, and I'm curious if you'd rather see Black Ops gameplay for testing or Warzone gameplay. Anyway, after sucking for the whole match, basically just dying, the average FPS was 117 with a 1% low of 64. In Fortnite, I tested at 1080p with performance mode, 100% 3D res scale, and then everything else on low. We ended up averaging 218 FPS with a 1% low of 64. Having faster RAM like 3600 megahertz and more of it would help improve the gameplay, but also a better CPU like the 5600 or 5600X would help a lot since this game is CPU intensive when it comes to rendering more frames. In Marvel Rivals, this has been a game I've been enjoying every time I test it out, and this time it was at 1080p with DLSS set to balanced in the high settings preset. The average FPS was 131 and our 1% low was 71, but you might notice the RAM usage is pretty much maxed out, especially after Windows takes some, so having 32 gigabytes would help in this game. For another esports game where you would want the maximum FPS, Valorant, I tested at 1080p with all low settings. Now every time I run this game, I'm either completely bad or barely good, but at least the PC was performing well. We averaged 292 FPS with a 1% low of 154. I'm pretty happy with how this whole build turned out. It looks decent, performs good, and most importantly, it was pretty affordable. Drop your thoughts on this build in the comments. Let me know what you think about it. And as I said, I will be selling this PC for a profit. I'll be upgrading the RAM to 32 gigabytes because as we've seen in some of the gameplay, 16 gigabytes is not really cutting it anymore. And this will be for sale on my Jawa account. That's it for me. Smash a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want. And to watch the original video where I bought the $100 gaming PC on Facebook Marketplace, click the video on the screen and I'll see you over there.